Hello, it's Audrey with Movies and Arrival um, on the variety show here, and today I'm doing a carnal mind segment where I try to use biblical scripture and to bring God's perspective and wisdom into any said topic um, that is really prominent in especially the Black community. Um, and try to bring his perspective into it using his scripture and just the truth of the gospel and the Bible about these things so that you can break away from the mob mentality of the world and into a Christ-like mind about these situations. That's what I try to do anyway, and I pray that my my own opinion doesn't you know come through in a way that's weird. I try to stay away from my own opinion a lot of times, but still human. But anyways, today I'm going to be talking about the Umar Johnson viral clip. Now I watched the entire hour segment, and the actual viral part is only 20 minutes, roughly 20 minutes long. And I can say that I largely agree with what Dr. Umar was saying in this particular video. And yes, he is a charlatan and a panderer to Black women, and he has a lot of support from them because he comes across as somewhat spiritual. He talks about the community as a whole and children and helping children, and that is going to attract bees to honey, especially like with Black women. And because largely now, which is one of the things I was going to point out about this, is that we don't have enough men in the community resources centers. We don't have enough Black men that seem to be involved in those things, and largely because Black men have promoted it. And I think that's one of the things in which we don't realize. Um, Let me pause and let me look at my notes because I don't want to be on here for too long. I only want to make a couple of points now about it. And I also looked at a couple of other, like, I'm usually on YouTube and watch YouTube. Other Black people have been saying about this viral clip, so, before I started to write down what I wanted to write down. But the Black community's problems are easily solved. It's just that the Black community has no leadership, or well, it does have leadership. It's just being led the wrong direction. Um, it's an easily solved problem. I believe it's Apostle Paul that writes this. Uh, I'll put it down below, but I forget. I don't know. I just know it's in the New Testament. I'll put it down below. But the gender war thing should not even be a discussion. I said this before in my Ebony K video that this is a demonic and reprobate witchcraft conversation because it doesn't produce anything besides confusion. It doesn't produce anything that's a real solution to the problem. The Bible is very clear on the roles of men and women. It's not a hard guess to figure out. It's not something that really needs to be up for discussion. It's just, I'm 33 years old now, and 20 years ago we were having the same gender war conversation. Enough is enough. It's been a literal generation of this reprobate confusion over nothing and fighting over nothing. The Bible tells us that men should be looking after the men and policing men, and women should be policing and looking after the women. And in the Old Testament and in the book of I believe it's, I forget, but there's a particular part when Joshua was taken over for Moses, and he had to find warriors to go out and fight. And he sent some people. He sent some men out to scope out the enemy, and they came back and they were afraid. So they said something that was contrary to the truth in their report. So what I'm saying by that is, and he had to vet his people. He had to vet his army, and the same thing here for the black community. The Pookie and Ray Ray, the what do they call it now? The 304, these degenerate people in our community need to be rooted out. There can be no more tolerance for them at all, period. And I think even within the black manosphere and just men in general, they are saying those things as a form of course correction in their own spaces. They're saying those things to women, that we need you to be, soft and feminine or whatever. They're saying those things. And women will listen and they will do it. Women are not hard to control at all. So I don't understand this narrative that women are so out of control and this, that, and the third, when you spend the past 20 plus years telling women to be easy, to be promiscuous, to be independent. That's in the black culture's music. That's in the black culture style. That's what's been promoted on the TVs with the reality TV. It's been promoted and presented to black women that this is what we want from you. And it's not black women controlling anything. You've propped them up in a position to control things as black men with the things in which you are saying that you want. Is that all black men? No. But the culture was geared and stemmed by black men, by their absence and their negligence. And then as they had a discussion about a retort about, as Dr. Umar was saying, that, it was all the things that happened in the 60s by now. And I'm going to say, we're in 2023, and I was born in 89, and those things have no bearing on me and my children now, nor my husband now. They don't. He's able to go to work, and there's nothing stopping him from working. Nothing. There's nothing stopping any black woman or child at this day and age in 2023 from being the best and the brightest, besides their mindset and perpetuating the degeneracy that became the culture since the early 2000s. There are very few people on TV, radio, or internet that are promoting what should have been promoted since the 90s. Like, there is no Carl Winslow now and all of that, and Family Matters. There's no more black TV with fathers like one-on-one. There's no more of that. It's become complete trash. And we have a lot of our people who are, I'm going to say, low vibrational, that's what they look at to give them guidance. They're not looking at the Bible. They're not looking to God. They're looking at the worldly cultural norm. And that's what has been perpetuated. We understand that now. So when I hear people say, about the past and the civil rights and welfare and feminism and all this stuff, we've long since known that these were things that are an issue and a problem, but the solution remains the same. And another point I wanted to raise was, there was a point where one of the gentlemen said that the women aren't allowing us to be leaders, or they're not letting us be leaders. My brain completely turned off. And I no longer had listened to anything that man had to say, if he ever spoke again, because I have never heard of a leader in any way, shape, or form asked to lead. That's just that the two don't go together. Okay, they don't go together. So I'm going to say that you, sir, are not a leader if you need to ask for permission to lead. Leaders just lead, whether they're on a job, whether they're in their home. Man or woman. Women lead too. Women lead their children and raising their children. They lead in their households by setting examples for their children and raising their children and right from wrong. There's all kinds of leaders that take place in every facet of life. I don't need permission to tell someone something that's going to benefit them. I don't need permission to go outside my home and do what I need to do for my family. I don't need permission to do that. And that's just called being adult. There's no gender role involved in that. It's just not. There's affinities for men, there's affinities for women. So I find it very weird that we're so hyper focused on what women are doing and how they are acting if men just lead. If you just lead, if you just go out and do what you're supposed to do and compete to be the best at it, to be the brightest star, you don't think women are attracted to that? Right now, your brightest stars are dim bulbs that are lazy rappers and dumb football and dumb sports players that are doing the Pookie and Ray Ray actions over and over again. And they're pulling all the women. Why? Because they have resources. More than most, and their character shows up on social media, but they have more than most. For the average black man, it's okay for you to be average. It really is. But make sure that you're the brightest one. Burn brightly in your righteousness, burn brightly in your leadership and your kindness and compassion towards others, children and women and men, all of these things. Just burn brighter than most. You'll be noticed by women. Women come and go. Women are not easy to pull at all. They're really not. I don't see what the real issue is. I think that you're just now this is my personal opinion. I just think that you keep looking at the lowest hanging fruit because they look a certain way. To be honest with you, if you're not finding good women, you're not in the right place. You're not looking in the right place. The better women are largely doing things for their community. They're staying out of the way. You have to, if you're not finding what you want where you're looking, you're in the wrong area. That's just it. Character matters, and put people's character to the test, and that's what you're going to find. And I think the other thing that I was going to say was, the gentleman who said, why are men being blamed for the past? Because men are the pillars of the community. Like I said, that's why you're being blamed, and that's why as it just is what it is. You can say how women's attitude is bad and they're overly aggressive and all this other type of stuff. You'd say that, but that's for women to deal with other women. Don't deal with one that's like that. Women are very quick to get the picture of, I'm not getting what I want and this is why. They know that. They're just looking for a sucker to lick that's going to allow them to do that. Don't allow them to do that in your space. And you'll find what you're looking for. And one individual family is not a community. It has to be more than one. It has to be a shift in the culture and the community. And Dr. Umar is right when he says that black men need to be policing black men. We have too many stories of people being terrorized by black men. There's not, does it happen where women are being out here being wild and crazy, but they're easily controlled? They really are. Easily controlled. Women are easily controlled by the right leadership. They really are. And as I was doing all of this, I'm done really. As I was doing all this and looking at it up and writing, I was reminded of Oliver Twist. So I'm actually got Oliver Twist playing. It's on YouTube, the 1948 version. It reminded me of Oliver Twist. So I was watching Oliver Twist here. And oh, last thing I want to say is this video is coming kind of long. Last thing I'm gonna say is the excuse of the Arrested Development and you know, the Lost Boy Peter Pan syndrome. There's no excuse for that now. You know, I had to throw movie references in here, but yeah, there's no excuse for that now. There's no I honestly don't see any oppression that's stopping black men from being what they've always been. Great. No matter what's gone on, they've continued to be here and create and build regardless. They're still doing it as we speak, which is why I often say stop letting social media control the narratives of your mind and your life. Go outside and actually walk around and meet people. And if you're not in the space that you want to be, move around. Move around and find a new group of people to be around. Don't get so comfortable with where you're at, and you'll find what you're looking for. You really will. But if you're still here, I'm just going to be yakking on. I'm just going to be yakking now. But, like, for example, I talk quickly about, this is just me and my opinion now, okay? I forget the name of the lady. Her and her son, 14-year-old son, got into an altercation and shooting and ended up killing a man that assaulted. The 14-year-old boy ended up killing the man that assaulted his mother. And I found it very weird how people were somewhat divided on this, because it's like, which one do you want? Y'all got Walmart's closing down all over the place and creating food deserts because black people don't know how to be nothing but animals. You got 1 minute you got black men crying in the street for their mama and then being snuffed out by a knee, and the moment this unhinged demonic black man punches a woman in her mouth because she said something that he didn't like, we cry foul. Anytime you decide to assault somebody, what are you expecting in return? Whether it was from a child or not, what are you expecting in return? Should that man have lost his life, but he put his life up for recompense? He put his life up for recompense when he assaulted that woman. I mean, what are we really talking about anymore? Day after day, and people are getting shot and killed in schools and everywhere else. You know, when is blood for blood going to be the results for things? I mean, stop tolerating things that don't need to be tolerated. Since when are we supposed to be tolerating evil? That's what I don't get. That's what I don't understand. I'm glad the charges were dropped for that woman. Was the woman, could she have just, closed her mouth and not said, and continued on? And would something have happened? Would he have probably continued to yell and scream at her? Maybe. But when are we going to stop justifying the behavior of people and the rude, harsh treatment to each other? When is enough enough? Why do people have to keep, holding their heads down and not saying nothing? I think it's long overdue for all this kind of behavior to stop from both men and women. You can't say that, well, if she hadn't have said what she had said, then, he would still be alive today. Can you really honestly believe and say that? No matter what someone is saying to someone else, you don't get to hurt them physically. No one does. The moment it gets physical, you're offering up a life. You really are. But that's really all I have to say on that front. Do I want people to die and be killed? No, not at all. But I think at this point, with the way in which the world is, How can we really continue to tolerate the degenerate behaviors of anyone, from Karens to irate men like that, to loud, foul-mouthed women like the lady that got punched in this particular case? When are we, when are we going to get back to being compassionate and kind to one another? When are we going to get back to caring about one another? Personal testimony time. Um, I was actually on a bus. I was on a bus, and this man, he had a backpack and a beer. And he had a bunch of money in his pocket, and he was pretending to do sign language even though he could talk. And he got the attention. He was trying to get the attention of two young boys on the bus as well. And I had just got on the bus, so I wasn't sure what was going on. But um, he was all like, "We need to take care of each other," because apparently he didn't pay. He didn't pay for his the bus fare or whatever the case may be, and he ended up getting off of the bus and continuing to try and bend the ear of these young men. I don't know what happened with that situation, but I pray that they aren't fooled by that. Yeah, a lot of older men try to manipulate young men by holding a bunch of cash around and all that. You've seen as many gang movies and drug movies as you've seen all that mess, and how they manipulate young men into doing things they don't really need to do. A similar situation probably was going on there. And this woman next to me, behind me actually, like, I called Dart Police and everything, because at this point I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of having to. Yeah, I understand. He didn't pay his fare. He's over here acting crazy and whatnot. And the bus driver also notified the authorities. But yeah, enough is enough. It's time to stop tolerating everybody else's behavior when people just want to get by and live in peace. It's time to start saying something about these things. It's time to stop having our head down about a lot of things and allowing the reprobative witchcraft manipulation to continue. It's time to break the mold and break the shell and break it off of black men, and thinking that if when black women act a certain way, it shouldn't matter how black women act. It shouldn't matter how another person acts. What matters is what you're going to do for you and what you're going to tolerate, and others will change behind that because you're a natural leader. But let me get out of here, because I usually don't do videos late at night, but it's late at night here. But be safe, be kind, be wise. Bye-bye. I will see you in the next one, okay? Let me go finish watching this movie. Oh, she had just... Okay, that's the part where the lady died. Well, no. Never mind. I'm not going to spoil the movie. I'm not going to spoil it. Not the mama, though. Not the mama. The mama dies at the very beginning. That's not really a spoiler because it literally happens at the very beginning. And if you read Oliver Twist, you already know the story. But alright. I recommend Oliver Twist as a movie for this week. What they doing to Oliver now? Okay, bye-bye.